have versed in the secrets of Gallic dreams. Ce nymphes, je l'ai vu perpetuer si clair. There is a sequencing Castalian spring in the arid gutturals of charring consonants. In the lenient roundness of my sounds, I learned to introduce French dryness of dragonfly, gliding with passes above an oak, which suddenly becomes a stage for the thunderstorm. Fawn's pranks and whims of Pan in the shadow of neglected ringing fountain. The contours of Parnassus and the silhouettes of wands. I grope my way by ritual of stanzas along the meandering path of the festive reed pipes, among the radiance of Vance's watercolors, luster of clarity and occult smoke, intermittent under the blue sky. With my wooden trunk as axis, I break mightily through the crown of sky. The rings of trunk are centrifugal, and doubling the skyline of the hill, I strain upward, escaping with agony impediments of fire and decay, and the top of the tree rejoicing. I am that oak which bristled up toward sky and treaded earth with its heel, and my rough leaves are unbeaded guests of paradise. I am a primordial altar of a hill of green meditations, a dance of Shiva, a dream of life, plants of eternal transformations, and my limbs creep along the sky, weaving a winding net, and the eternal child, the sun, hides its blue rays in my branches. Along the sky blue, above a sick city, autumn, the beast takes over. The cold roams, seeks for a door, balancing its tottery pace above sprout abyss. Clarity measures day, minutes fall down ringing, and rhythm of branches impetuously weaves, though moderated. Breathing of day retards slightly. The meaning of alternation arrives to me. Downfall, suffering, rustling. A coiled silver snake of autumn's days stirs with tender mystery of falling into sleep.
What is poetry and the function of poetry, and where have your sources of inspiration arisen from?
Poetry is an art like any other art, like painting, like music, like sculpture, but it expresses itself through the word. It uses the word as a main instrument of expression. And as we know, the word was the main instrument of God in the creation of our universe. Word was in the beginning of everything, even before light. And light was created with word. So the poet, using the word, is a participator in the act of creation. He recreates the universe, we may say. And this is a very difficult task, and it recreates the universe it repeats the art of creation in its ascent and descent, in these two movements. And I'm interested especially in the meeting of these two movements, in the intersection of these two beams of the cross. My main ideas, main ideas behind of my poets are Pythagorean image of singing universe. I was fascinated with the image of universe which can express itself through speech, through word, through singing, and this we can.
Well, your poetry is more for a narrow audience. It's like transcendental, and you've been exposed to different types of setting: the academic world, the metaphysical world, the New Age community, the artistic community. Which of these individuals or groupings would, if they worked with your communications, what type of person would resonate to it?
To my poetry?
Yes.
I didn't ask this question because I never read my poems in auditoriums. So this is a particular situation of Russian underground poetry and literature and art. And I feel myself up to now the part of this underground literature and art.
Yes, but you've been in New York since 1974.
But I write my poems in Russian, and this is my first translations of my poems into English. I was made it by myself, and Rozan Wasserman, the American poet, helps me to polish these translations.
Do you have any American or European or Russian sources of inspiration that has helped, aided you in your artistic and spiritual unfoldment?
I grew up as a poet in Russian 60s, 70s. It was as intensive time of restoration of spiritual interests as it was everywhere. In Russia it took in other shapes, but it was spiritually very rich and very intensive movement. And at that time, the new literary movement was born. Literary movement, which for describing which we use different names: neo-symbolism, or magic symbolism, or materialism. And it doesn't mean besides of all these names, it was and it is very significant, I think, phenomena, and it is exists in Russia now, and it exists here in United States and in Europe. And first, it was represented for the first time in our anthology, Gnosis anthology.
Right. Gnosis anthology on contemporary American and Russian artists in both English and Russian.
Yes.